And welcome back to Ozarks Live. Joy's Book Club is finally back in session. I'm here with none other than my buddy Conrad from the Springfield Greene County Library. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm great. It's glad to have you.
Oh my gosh,
it's
so good to be back here.
I know.
It's nice. Feels like a bit of normalcy in a strange world.
You know what? If nothing else, I think maybe people have been reading a little bit more, but I want to remind them of all the things that you have at the library. But let's get to some books, shall we? You said you were very excited about this. Brett Bennett's The Vanishing Half.
Vanishing Half. So one thing that our patrons are really trying to do right now is expand their horizons and read more books by non-white authors that talk about the lives of people of color. And so if you're just looking for something to kind of start you down that road, The Vanishing Half is a great place to start. It just came out. It immediately went to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Wow.
And the library's copies already have over 100 holds. So it's very popular right now. It follows twin sisters who grow up in the small black community that for generations has worked to have children with lighter and lighter skin, and that values light skin. So it's about passing, the concept of passing for white if you're of color. And it's really interesting in the way that it approaches the concept of passing because it also incorporates gay people who can pass for straight, trans people who can pass, and really kind of how anyone might want to pass for something to society, to their friends, to their family.
Yeah. Something that people have dealt with and struggled with that you may not really understand the struggle. Okay, so The Vanishing Half. Get your name on the list now because there's a long...
It's very good.
I love putting stuff on the wait list. Okay, here's one called Survival Math, Notes on an All-American Family by Mitchell S. Jackson. What about this one?
Yeah, so the other thing that our patrons are really clamoring for right now are books about the lived experiences of black people, particularly with racism, and how white people can better understand those experiences and be better allies. So our great librarians put together a few different book lists for teens and for adults. And then our community relations department made these flyers that have gone on book displays at branches across the county. And so Survival Math is from the library's Black Lives Matter book list. But basically, Jackson talks about his life growing up in Northeast Portland, which is a poverty-stricken black community in the larger Portland, Oregon city. In Portland is a thriving metropolis, but also one of the country's whitest cities. And so Jackson introduces us to this really interesting cast of characters, some of whom might not have the most honorable professions or who might have dealt with internal demons like addiction, but who also taught him about love, about fathership, and who were shaped by systemic racism and really the racist history of Portland itself. And the title is really interesting, Survival Math, because it comes from the calculations that Jackson and his friends and his family had to make in order to stay safe, to stay alive in their community. And reading about those calculations and the history of that community was not only, extremely moving, but is really helpful in understanding the day-to-day privilege that a cisgender white male enjoys and sort of how that privilege is also shaped by history.
Very interesting. I wanted to know where the name came about, Survival Math. Very unusual. All right, finally, this one, Victor LaValle's The Ballad of Black Tom. This is a paperback. So
it is, and it's a novella, so it's short, it's enjoyable, it's not too hard to read. And there's a show coming out later this year called Lovecraft Country, so Lovecraftian fiction is going to be big. And Lovecraft is big in horror and was really influential in shaping horror in the early 20th century and still shapes it today.
Yeah, you're a big horror buff. I know that.
Right. I had to bring one.
Of course.
But Lovecraft was also an avowed racist, and this short story that the book is based on is one of Lovecraft's most racist short stories. And so what LaValle has done is he's told the story from the perspective of a black man living in this Lovecraft world. And so it follows Tommy Tester, who is just trying to take care of his father, just trying to make ends meet by dealing in occult artifacts in Jazz-age New York City.
Oh, wow.
And so he sort of gets wrapped up in this wealthy white man's scheme to summon these ancient entities. And he not only attracts the attention of the police, but also these scary supernatural beings. And he kind of has to ask himself, which is scarier, this supernatural unknown world or the actual world in which he lives. So it's kind of a fun, creepy read, but that also sort of tackles racism and American culture. So
just the creativity of these writers just never ceases to astound me.
Yeah.
Conrad, it's great to see you.
It's so great to see you.
Look
Thank you
forward
so
to
much for having me.
having you all
Yeah.
again, and you can find books, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, all sorts of things at thelibrary.org. Once again, good to see you.
Yep, you too.